Welcome to the Bag Makers Workroom. I am Chris with Simply Classic, and today is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us live this evening. Tonight we're talking all about creative ways to use webbing. So we are super excited about tonight's episode, as we are every Thursday. We are here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't join us live, you can always watch the recording on YouTube at any time. Please make sure you subscribe, click the bell icon notification, and give me a little thumbs up, and that way people can find us and you'll be notified whenever we go live or post a new video. So we see Patricia is watching from McDonald, Tennessee. Hello. We have Helen from the Georgia mountains. All right. Thanks for joining us, Helen. And then Jess is here from California. So thank you so much again to everybody joining tonight. So as I mentioned, today we're going to talk about creative ways to make webbing. So here's what we have planned. First, we're going to go over the Simply Classic scoop. I'm going to show you our pattern of the week, which is the Farfalla, which is this one here. Next, we're going to look at some unique webbing on designer bags, and then I'll demonstrate actually two of the techniques. We're going to talk about the history of Stella McCartney. We're going to use our customers' bags in Artistry Avenue. We're going to feature you. And then finally, we'll do a giveaway at the end of the hour. So as a reminder, if you have any questions during the live stream, ask them in the chat, and we'll do a Q&A at the end of the hour. Also, please take a second, again, to click that thumbs up, and it's just going to help people find us. So we really appreciate your support. So tonight in the Simply Classic Scoop, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on here behind the scenes, different events we're going to be at, and we first want to mention to you that we haven't mentioned this in a little while, Sack, Bag, and Sew. This is in Sacramento, and I'll be teaching 4 classes. I'll be teaching the Julie, the Sorella, the Simply Classic Clutch, which are all Simply Classic patterns, and then the Addie by Purse Crafters. So believe it or not, it's only a few months away, and I know some of you already signed up. And let me know if you're in the chat, if you'll be there, because I know there's going to be a lot of people there, and we're super excited to meet you and see you. And it's just amazing how quick it's coming up. It's already June. So if you haven't gotten your, we have a quick question. So, Jess says, so excited for Sacramento. All right. I am excited too. Glad hopefully you'll be in a couple of classes. I think you are. So if you haven't gotten your expo passes yet, now's a great time, because there's a 3-day pass on sale for $25. It's usually $45. So you will get those. That will get you into the main event and on the expo floor. Of course, classes are more. They're additional. But we're going to put links to everything down below so that you can go ahead and check that out. Heather says, I'll be in all your classes. Hi, Heather. Yes, I recognize your name. And Sean says, yay, get ready for Sacramento. So Sean is going to be doing a demonstration with a laser cutting machine, I believe. So we are excited to see that. They're going to have demonstrations on the floor and on the actual where like all the vendors are. There'll be some great vendors there too. We are not vending there just because it costs so much for us to ship everything across the country. Of course, we're in Georgia. California is about as far away as you can get, and so we're just going to be teaching there. But it's going to be great. We're super excited about it. So Christine says, I'm signed up for 2 of your classes, but I'm reluctant to fly. Oh gosh, Christine, yes. Actually, I think you're here on the East Coast, right, Christine, if I'm not mistaken? You'll be like me, you'll be flying across the country. You'll be fine. It'll be good. It's always fun when it's for something bag making, right? It's always okay. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is our band class. And I'll tell you what, we have given this class, I think, almost 8 times, 7 times. I can't remember. I've lost count. And people are still requesting. And as long as you all want to take the class, we definitely are going to keep giving it. So we have almost the whole thing sold out. We have, I think, 1 blue left and 3 of the pink left. and it is July 18th through the 28th. So if you're not familiar with the Banda, basically it is an introduction to leather class, and we're going to be making this gorgeous bag. If you've never worked with leather, it is definitely a great class to take. It's $350. It includes this exclusive pattern that's never going to be released outside the course. It includes your class kit with the materials to make your bag, 6 pre-recorded video sessions, and 3 live Zoom sessions. You have lifetime access to your student portal, which includes the classes, the downloads, all of that. Again, July 18th through the 28th. It is completely online. It's mostly self-paced. Students in the past have said that, if you can keep up, that's best, but it's spread out over 10 days. So, some of the sessions are a little intensive, but you have time to work with it. So it's really, the pace is really very, very good. You should have time to do everything you need. But check out our events page or the links below to register. And if you have any questions about the class, certainly let me know, because we are here to help. The last thing we want to tell you about, and this is just kind of a little reminder, is we want to remind you that our bag making subscription box is going to be on sale again soon, believe it or not. This is a seasonal bag making subscription box, and basically the subscription period is going to open on June 15th. So each quarter we have this basically quarterly subscription box, and in it you receive a brand new, never seen before Simply Classic pattern. You have exclusive access to a video with no ads, so you can make the bag. It includes faux leather, it includes lining, it includes the hardware, it includes a bunch of other goodies for your workroom, and it's really a great box. Everybody that has gotten it has really enjoyed it, and we are really excited about this pattern. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is because it is supposed to be a surprise, but I will tell you that I made a lot of prototypes before I finally got it right. It's just one of those bags. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It is a designer-inspired bag, and it's very popular right now. So feel free to make a guess in the chat if you want, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just interested to see if you guys have any guesses. The colors we chose are really bright and bold and perfect for summer, so I think you're going to love it. If you subscribed last June, your subscription is now ended, and if you want to stay subscribed, you're going to have to sign up again. If you're not sure whether you're subscribed, you can always log into our website and check your account for details. And then we'll also be sending out an email reminder to you to help you remember to resubscribe. It'll be on Monday, the 16th, June 16th. You'll see that email come through. And again, the subscription period is open up from the 15th through the 30th, and this is a good one. They're all good, but this is really exciting. Okay, we are going to go ahead and pick a winner. So from last week's episode. So if you remember, we give away 2 patterns every single week. One of them is live, and one of them is for those who watch the replay. And we have the name of all of the people here in our jar. And basically what you're going to win is a Roseanne pattern, because Roseanne pattern was the pattern of the week last week, and that is what it's going to be. Roseanne's a popular pattern. A lot of you really love the Roseanne pattern. So here are all of the names. We're just going to kind of mix them up, and let's pick a winner. We like to do this the old-fashioned way and pick a name out of a hat. All right. So wall 123 new. And her name was Waleska. And Waleska, I recognize your name. I know you're a good customer, and you like a tote bag. So congratulations, you have won the Roseanne pattern. We will go ahead and email you your pattern soon, probably right after this episode. And we appreciate you watching and participating. Okay, we are going to move on to our featured product. And they have to email us. Oh, I'm sorry. Waleska, you need to email me. I'm sorry. I'm getting waves behind the scenes saying, wait, she's emailing us. So I apologize for that. Valeska, if you will email us and just let us know that you have won the Roseanne pattern, please do that within 30 days, and then we will go ahead and get you your pattern. Okay, fair enough. Sorry about that, y'all. And luckily, I have people behind the scenes keeping me straight. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our featured products. And our featured pattern this week is the Farfalla. It is $12.49. It is the pattern of the week. And we've featured it before. This here is the Farfalla. I'm going to pick a different one. So pulling this off the shelf, we have a leather one here. I made this. This is a really beautiful, I think this was the plumberry leather that we have, and we use elephant gray accents on it, and it's so soft. It's really a great bag. We don't see this one made as much, and I think because it looks intimidating, and it's really not. There's only 4 pieces to the bag. You have basically a back piece here that curves around to the front. You have, of course, a bottom, and then you have 2 front pieces. I'm going to open this up and show you. One is here on this side, and the other one is here on this side. The pocket basically splits those 2 pieces. Okay, it is a sling bag that converts to a backpack with the zipper opening, and basically the zipper just opens all the way up, and you can turn it into a backpack. You can go ahead and tighten or loosen the straps to make it whatever size you would like. It is, because we're talking about webbing, I really want to talk to you about how to modify this for webbing. So if you are interested in maybe using a 1-inch webbing, you could certainly do that. And if you want it to be like a permanent backpack, you could just put 2 pieces of webbing up here and go ahead and connect it with strap connectors, and then you could just have it always be a backpack. Or if you want it to always be a sling bag, you could certainly replace this whole strap with a 1.5 or 2-inch webbing that is sewn in just like the straps are. You would put a strap adjuster and a swivel clasp on the end and just connect it to either one side or the other. You could still put the 2 different options here, so you could switch it from side to side, but you could certainly turn it into a permanent sling bag, and webbing would give it a really fun, colorful look. So this is kind of a little funny thing. I was looking at YouTube comments for the Farfalla tutorial earlier this week, and Cheryl W. wrote, she said, I have to admit, at first I was thinking, what? But I really like the unusual shape and how it comes together. And she left that comment over a year ago, and seeing it again this really made me kind of smile, because it is kind of a very unusual bag. So it was inspired by a bag I saw in Italy, and the reason why I named it the Farfalla is because of how it opens up. So the way it opens is this flap opens up to the side, and if you don't know, the word Farfalla is Italian for butterfly, and this kind of reminded me of a butterfly wing, and that's the reason why I named it the Farfalla. So sometimes I have kind of cool, interesting reasons why I name bags the way I do. Other times, not so much. Sometimes we struggle. The toggle is really more of a decorative piece. It doesn't really hold it closed. We're going to go to the overhead, and I'm going to show you how it's held closed. Basically, you've got 2 different straps here. The backpack straps or the sling straps feed through this front strap, which holds that closed. So in Italy, there's a lot of problems with pickpocketers, and so therefore they really come up with ways to make the bags very secure, and this is how they did it. Okay, you can see here that this feeds through, and when you are wearing this bag, there is no way to open this up, whether you wear it as a backpack or a sling. To open it, you simply just loosen this, you pull out, and then you have your bag, and it is a bucket bag style. You also have a pocket here in the front that is great for sunglasses, chapstick, whatever you may need. And then on the back, we have a pocket that fits a cell phone, and we made sure it fit even the largest cell phones. Okay, so the Farfalla, again, it is $12.49 this week. It is our pattern of the week. It also has some credit card slots inside, something I forgot to mention. So one thing I also want to mention is when you're making this bag, you really need to use a soft fabric, okay? You don't want to use anything too stiff because it does fold back on itself, and you really want to make sure that it has the ability to do that. Keep in mind too that we have hardware kits for the Farfalla, bronze, nickel, and gunmetal, and they are on sale 10% off this week. So if you've ever made a Farfalla, leave a comment. I know that I've seen some cool ones out there, but we'd like to see more of you make it. So, get creative with it. Some of our testers did one fabric here and a different fabric here, and it was really cool because it gave it a really neat look. It was nice. Okay, and you guys are so creative. I learned so much from all of you. So get creative with it. We really want to see what you come up with. And at the end of the episode, of course, we're going to pick a winner. And then, of course, we're going to have one winner for those watching the replay. So we will do that shortly. So we want to look at our perfect pairings. And perfect pairings is where we pair some of our leather and faux leather with matching lining, thread, and hardware. And you can see, for these colors we picked are really inspiration for the Farfalla. So we are going to start with our faux leather. We're going to go to the overhead, and I'm going to show you what we would pick. So again, a two-tone Farfalla we think would look really great with this silver blue aged and this brown suede. That would just really be absolutely beautiful. We think that this is a color Hoover gray thread would go great with it. We would put the lining of Harper blue. We would use bronze hardware. And then if you decided you wanted to use webbing, we suggest this webbing in the tan and beige peacock feather. Now, we have put the webbing on sale 10% off this week as well. We think that it would be a great addition to the Farfalla. I have not seen one done yet with webbing. So I really want somebody to do that so we can take a look at it because I think it would really be a gorgeous, gorgeous bag. So our leather pairing is actually going to be inspired by our pink one that I showed you earlier. So here is the leather. It is a plumberry. And then we would pair that with this elephant gray. Beautiful, beautiful colors. For lining, we suggest the Dotty Dots Gray by Tilda. For this one, we suggest nickel. And then if you're going to use webbing, we really like our zigzag multicolor webbing for this. We think that would go really well with it because it has pink and gray in it. And then for a text 45 thread, we would use magenta. And if you're going to use a text 70, we suggest the midnight gray. This one's a little bit lighter. Midnight gray in a text 70. So we feel like no matter what bag you make, this would be an amazing pairing. But we definitely think that for a Tilda or for a Farfalla, it would be even better. So Robin says the Farfalla had me thinking bow tie pasta. Very cool. It is kind of bow tie looking. All right. So we are going to talk for just a minute about some designer bag inspiration. And we always like to look at some designer bags, and we want to talk about webbing. We want to talk about it in really unique ways and show you some inspiration. We really feel like webbing is maybe an underused thing, and we want to show you some things that we think would be really cool. So webbing is the name for a strong, closely woven fabric. It's usually made of a synthetic material like nylon or polyester because they're stronger, they're most natural fibers. However, there is such thing as cotton webbing. It usually comes in narrow strips that are between 1 and 2 inches wide, and the webbing we carry is 1.5 inches by 60 inches long. So when you think about webbing, usually you think about straps, right? But there's so many creative ways that we can use webbing. And if you just think outside the box just a little bit, you can come up with some really creative ideas. We're going to go over these 8 bags you see here on the screen, and we're going to make you rethink how you use webbing in bag making. So this first one is called the Purse Angle Men's Tote by Hermes. And we showed you this one time before in a previous episode. Really love this. And I'm actually going to show you in a little demonstration, a little example of how I did this. And actually I realized when I was done, I did it backwards, which I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. But it's just a neat way to use webbing. They use leather here, but you could certainly use webbing, especially if you have double-sided webbing. I think it would be really cool to see both sides of it, and it would really just give it a lot of color and a great look. This next one is the London Tote by Megan B. It is gold and silver webbing as a decorative accent. So you can see there on the right and on the left of the straps, they just ran a piece of webbing up the side, made a slit in the leather, put the webbing through it, and top stitched it down. This is an interesting one. It's made by Roughwear, and they actually made the entire bag out of webbing. So a little fun fact about this company is that it uses webbing left over from dog collars and leashes, and that's how they make their bags. So all they did is they basically did a weave it all together, and then they stitched it, and that's how they got the bag together. Really a beautiful bag, very durable because it is made from dog leashes and collars. Now this one is the Ella Tote by Tory Burch, and basically it is a mix of webbing and embroidery. So what they did is they took a really basic base fabric, and it's a gray canvas type fabric. Some of these stripes you see are actually embroidered on, but most of them are webbing. So they just took different colors and variations of floral webbing and stitched it on the bag. So, you know, just maybe something you can take some inspiration from. Very different. This sliding tote is what it's called, and basically what they did here was use webbing to hold this backpack type tote onto your luggage. Now, a little thing I would say is that if I used webbing in this instance, I would probably use 2 rows of it. I just think it would probably hold it on the suitcase a little bit better. But, you know, it's a cool idea, and it's a good way to add a pop of color to a tote bag or backpack, especially if you're going to use it on a suitcase. This horse fit wallet by Gucci is an example of a luxury brand using webbing. And of course, you can see that the webbing is basically just put around the front or the center of the wallet. I'm sure it goes all the way around. It gives the illusion of the webbing going through the flap, but it doesn't. It just gets sewn into the flap because of that extra little piece of leather they have down there at the bottom of the flap where they cut it out. So this is really neat. I think that you could get creative here. Obviously, there's so many different types and colors of webbing. There's, you know, so many options that could really add to your bag. And then this here is a wallet where they use webbing as the closure, and they just put a strap end on it. So again, this is a great way if you have a very narrow strap or you have a very narrow flap or some kind of closure, you could use a really colorful pop of webbing on a neutral bag to make it stand out and give it a little extra something fun. Now, this one here we really liked, and it's really a more of a traditional bag. It is a neoprene bag, and of course it has this woven webbing on it, and they frayed the ends. I like it, and this kind of what inspired today's demo, which we're going to go over in just a second. But it's just a kind of a fun and subtle way to use webbing. So I want to hear from you in the chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay. What do you think about these webbing techniques? Are you going to try any of them? Or maybe you have another creative way to use webbing that we didn't cover. So let me know, because I always learn so much from you, and feel free, of course, to post any of your webbing ideas in the Simply Classic Bag Making community on Facebook. So we're going to move to Sharpen Your Skills, and this is where we look at sewing techniques to help you become a better bag maker. And today I'm going to show you how to replicate that frayed webbing technique that we saw, and then we're going to do a couple other little things. So the first thing that I want to do is to show you this tote again. It is a tote that is really a basic tote bag, and what they did is just dressed it up with this webbing and basically frayed it. So I have a little sample here. We're going to go to the overhead. And you can see here that I have this. This is our peacock webbing. And I just used an example. We're just going to pretend this is the front of the bag. So what I did was stitch this on. And I'm going to try to bring this up to the camera. I did 2 rows of stitching down here at the bottom. And I did just 1 row of stitching up here. Now, I know some of you are probably going to ask, do you have to do a zigzag stitch? Because that's usually what we know, and that's what we were taught, is that you have to use the zigzag stitch to prevent things from fraying. But the reality is no, because this is not going to fray anymore. I can pull on this. I can, try to, I tried to fray this as much as I could, and it stopped right there at my stitching. So there really is no need to do a zigzag stitch. So over here, I did the same thing. I went ahead and just stitched in 2 places. I did 1 row of stitching here and 2 rows of stitching there. That kind of takes place in the zigzag. And then all you want to do is to take your piece that wants to fray. Okay, you can see here, it wants to fray, and I'm just going to pull it. And most of you know how to do this, but it's always fun to see it come together. So let me go ahead and pull. Getting caught here, of course. That always happens when you're doing something live. Let's see if I can cut it. Getting caught on itself. All I did on the other one was pull. Hold on a minute, let me get a pair of scissors. And you're just going to pull, and it's just going to fray. Earlier, when we were doing this for this other side, literally we just pulled and the whole thing frayed. But I think you get the idea. So basically, you would just pull and you would have a cool frayed handle like you see here. Now, you have to make sure, again, that you have woven webbing. If your webbing is not woven, this is not going to work. So as an example, I have a piece of webbing here that is not woven. It's more of a neoprene. We just cut it, and you can see there's no way that that's going to fray. Okay, it's just not going to happen. So you have to make sure you have the right type of webbing, and the most important thing is to have it be a woven webbing. Okay, so that is just a really cool idea, really cute handle. Once you get started, of course, you're going to have a really cool frayed handle, and it's going to be beautiful. So the other thing, and here's an example of maybe a zigzag one. You can see here, you just pull, and look at how cool that is, and it just frays. So once you get it right, you can pull it. And then this is our zigzag one that would fray. Now you can see here what they have done is they have used the gray on part of the actual webbing. The stitching going this way, which is the zigzag, in this case is what we're pulling apart. So as we pull that, that's what's coming apart. That's allowing this to fray. Okay. And you can see those zigzag stitches coming out. So in this case, the fraying is going to be all gray if you use this particular one, where in this case, you can see it's multicolor because it's all the different colors coming together, okay, which we really like this. We really like the multicolor one. So the other thing I want to show you and point out to you is that you can see if you're using a webbing that's directional like mine is, my little peacock feathers are going in one direction here, and they're going in a different direction here because all I did was take the handle and turn it upside down. Well, that bothers me because I'm a very symmetrical person, and that just bothers me. I don't like it. If it doesn't bother you, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. So what I suggest to fix that is to take a piece of webbing. You can actually cut it in half and then turn it so that the pattern is going in the same direction, and stitch it together. Okay, so I have it stitched together right here in the middle. And then what I would do, a lot of times with webbing, anything over an inch, a lot of times it's hard to pick up and hold. It squishes in your hand. So a lot of times when I use webbing, I actually take the webbing, fold it in half, and stitch it down. Okay, so you can see here I have like a little grab handle with this webbing. What I would do in this case is then to take some faux leather, whatever the faux leather of my bag is, and I would take and wrap it around that section and wrap it into thirds. So what I mean by that is I would just lay this down, do a third, and a third, just like this, and then stitch that. And then you have a really cool handle, grab handle on your webbing to, for your bag. Okay, hold your bag. So Rika says that makes sense that the ends would fray differently. The weave at the top is different than at the bottom. That is correct, yes. And so you really want to look at the webbing. If you want it to fray and you want it to look that way, you really need to look at it to see what it's going to look like once you fray. Because you might expect it to be, like in this case, you might expect it to be pink or multicolor, but the reality is it ends up being gray. All right, I want to show you one more thing. This was my attempt at that replica of the men's bag. Now, you can see here that what they did is they have two strap they have one strap, but like the strap connector is two pieces of leather. They actually take the outer piece and form a right angle to connect them, okay? Like you see in this photo. But what I did is I took the inner one and did that. So you can see how different that looks. Now these handles are a little far apart, but you can kind of get the idea here. I like the idea of the one that they did here instead. I like the right angle of that. I just think that looks a lot better. So I want to show you when you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to, of course, stitch on the webbing on your bag, and then you're just going to turn it so that it forms a right angle, whichever way you want to do it or however you want to do it, and then continue stitching over that right angle. In my case, what I did is I stitched up, I stitched the angle, and then across the angle, and then down, and then up and across here. I did not stitch here in these two areas. Okay. I did cut it at right angles here at the bottom. It does help it not fray, but also the stitching is going to help it not fray. Because if you have a woven webbing, you have to worry about it fraying if you don't want it to. Okay. And then of course I did my little fold in half here. But I think that this could really be cool, but it probably would be a lot cooler if I did it the right way. But you can see how I experimented here and how sometimes your experiments end up being something different and, might be okay. So cool suggestion on the handles, Kelly says. So webbing is fun. You can do a lot with webbing. It really will add some color to your bags, and I think it would really be a great addition. There's so many different kinds. There's seatbelt webbing. There's neoprene or more of a plastic webbing. You've got woven webbing like this, the cotton webbing. You've got double-sided webbing. You've got directional webbing. I mean, you all know you can go and look at all the different vendors around and see different types of webbing. So Donna Ray says, I like the way you did it. Well, thank you. And, let's face it, a lot of times we do things and we intend one thing and it turns out to be something else and we go, oops, and then you just keep moving on, right? All right, so we're going to move on to the Thursday thread. And every week on the Thursday thread, we tell you a sewing story, either from my life, your life, or some kind of sewing history. And today I want to talk about Stella McCartney. So Stella McCartney was born in London in 1971. She is the daughter of Linda and Paul McCartney, and of course Paul McCartney is a member of the Beatles. His late wife Linda was a photographer and an animal rights activist. They raised Stella as a vegetarian, and they were very environmentally conscious. They were also a family who appreciated style. And Stella said that when she was 5 years old, she would go into her parents' closet and just marvel at all of the beautiful garments and shoes. She knew even back then that she wanted to become a fashion designer. She designed her first jacket when she was 13 years old. And when she was a little older, she interned at a French fashion house and worked for a famous London tailor. She studied fashion design at Central St. Martin's, which is a prestigious school in London. And for her first project, she designed a clothing collection and hosted a fashion show. Her friends walked in the show free to support her, and it just so happened her friends were Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss. So she had some serious star power behind her. These are photos from that fashion show in 1995. Then in 1997, Stella was named the creative director of Chloe after Karl Lagerfeld retired. Now, how many times have we done a history lesson and heard the name Karl Lagerfeld? I mean, he was all over the place. A lot of people were skeptical about Stella, and her thought was she was just a Nepo baby, as the kids say, but she worked hard to show that she was talented and serious about fashion. Chloe was known for its bohemian designs, and she helped them shift to a more contemporary, edgy look like we see here in these photos. On the left there, that's Stella with Gwyneth Paltrow. And I mentioned that the McCartneys were very serious about sustainability, and that's something that we see carried into Stella McCartney's brand and Stella McCartney's personal life. She's an activist who fights for animal rights and environmental reform in the fashion industry. From day one, she has not used any animal products in her collections. That means no leather and no fur. It also means avoiding glues and dyes that are made with animal byproducts. She said that in the fashion industry, waste is a design flaw. She believed that she could build a luxury brand that competed with the biggest names out there, and that she could do it without compromising her values. Once again, a lot of people were skeptical, but here we are almost 25 years later, and it's clear that she has proved them wrong. Now, personally, I love working with leather. Some people don't realize that most leather is a byproduct of the meat industry, so we're making use of something that would otherwise be discarded. But I appreciate where Stella McCartney is coming from, and I think it's amazing what she's been able to accomplish. So there's a lot to say about Stella and her brand, and over the years they have released jewelry and perfume, skincare, kids clothing, menswear, and other luxury products. But what I'm most interested in are the bags. So let's talk about how Stella McCartney makes luxury faux leather bags. Now, before we do that, I do want to mention that if you are watching the replay and you would like to win the Farfalla pattern, go ahead and type your first name and something fun you want to do this summer, and we will pick a winner next week. So I want to point out that even though Stella McCartney's bags are not real leather, it doesn't mean that they're cheap. The faux leather that Stella McCartney uses is said to cost up to 70% more than real leather. And that's partly because of their sustainability practices and also because of the specialty materials they use. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more a little bit later. I want to show you some examples of the kind of leather she uses. So let's start with the basics. For most bags, they use a material called alter nappa. Now, that name is just a marketing term, and it's basically your standard high-quality faux. It's made of poly-based material, so it's plastic, and also with vegetable oil. That makes it a little different. It's not the faux leather itself, but the way they use the more eco-friendly practices to manufacture it. Here are a few bags made with altered nappa. So we can see, just like with most faux leather, it comes in all different colors, textures, and finishes. Now, this is where things get interesting. They've also been exploring alternative types of faux leather that don't use as much plastic. So in 2018, they worked with a biotech company called Bolt Threads to make bags out of material called milo. Now, milo is a faux leather that comes from mushrooms. And how cool is that? This is a photo of the manufacturing process over there on the left. And we looked at this for a long time yesterday because it kind of looks like spray and foam, but then it also kind of looks like mold, which I guess is mushrooms, but then it kind of also looks like insulation. I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? But those are the mushrooms, and on the right-hand side, you see what they turn it into. And that's really a beautiful piece of faux leather there. That texture on there is absolutely gorgeous. So at the 2022 Paris Fashion Week, Stella McCartney was the first ever brand to debut a mushroom-based faux leather bag on the runway. They called it the Frame Milo, and you can see it here. So Bolt Threads has since discontinued their Milo faux leather, but other companies have started to make their own versions to fill in the gap. Stella McCartney has recently started using something called Veggia, which is a grape-based faux leather. It's made using waste from the wine manufacturing process. So they take all of the discarded seeds and pulp and skins and turn it into faux leather. And don't these textures just look amazing? Both of these bags were made using grapes. Who would have known? So I want to thank you, Stella McCartney, for making the world a little greener and for introducing us to these really interesting new materials. So while we're on the topic, I want to talk to you a little bit about my experience with these alternative kinds of faux leather. They're not something I've worked with a lot. The faux leather we sell is just kind of your classic high quality faux leather, but I'm always interested in seeing what's out there. So I ordered samples from a few companies out of various countries around the world who make plant-based faux leathers. I was really impressed with some of them, and I was not so impressed with others. So we're going to go to the overhead because I actually want to show you some of these examples. And I have it buried here somewhere, so here we are. Okay. So here is different faux leathers, and these are all made out of different things. This here looks like your typical faux leather, right? It's pretty pliable. I mean, it's really beautiful colors. This is called Deserto, and basically what that is, or this one right here is Deserto. That's made out of cactus leaves. Okay, beautiful. You know, flexibility. It's got a really cool backing on it. It's almost like a knit backing. Really gorgeous product. Love this. That comes out of Mexico. We have this. This is the Veggia. This is the one from Italy. It is made out of grapes, and you can see it also kind of has a knit backing. You can see it's really soft, beautiful colors, just really gorgeous. Now, both of those come in different options. So both of these are made out of cactus leaves. Look at the colors. The colors are so rich and gorgeous. I have purchased leather made from cactus. It is very soft and supple. Yes, Robin, that's what this is. This right here is the faux leather made out of cactus. You would never know it's made out of cactus. I'll tell you, out of all of them, the ones made out of cactus are my favorite. These are made out of pineapple leaves. Okay, they're a little bit thinner. They've got a little bit of texture. Let's see if you can see it on the white. It's got just a little bit of texture on it. And then these are also made from pineapple. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to show you one of the lighter ones. It's got a real interesting texture to it. And you can see it almost looks like on the back here, it almost looks like a carpet. It's really interesting. This is the one I didn't like so much. the texture looks cool, but in real life, it almost looks like the stuff that you would put underneath a carpet in your house, okay? It's just really, really different. So Rock says faux leather is good, but some put flame to it and watch it burn. All right, Rock. All right, this is a really cool color too. So I've seen a couple of bags made out of this, and it looks neat because of the texture on it. I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, but reality is it almost feels like foam, okay? Does it feel like paper or craft text? You know, it kind of feels like paper. Yeah, it's not as stiff as craft text. It almost feels like a paper, and it's I say sponge. It's not really spongy, but I don't know if you can hear it. It's kind of I don't know how to describe it. No sheen to it at all. You can see it's a very matte finish, and this is pineapple. Okay, so the pineapple comes in a couple different variations. It comes in, you know, again, something like this, it's more textured and almost spongy looking, and then you have more of a smooth finish, which is what we're kind of used to a little bit more, and very, very pretty. Okay, Robin, are you going to carry any of these? That is the question. So that's one of the things I looked into. I was interested in carrying them, but let me tell you, price-wise, not even talking about tariffs. Let's keep that out of it. Let's just talk about the price of the product. 18 inches would be about probably right at $40, $40 to $50. So it is double the price of faux easily. And so we decided not to carry it for that reason. I think they're gorgeous, they're beautiful, but in reality, it's really more expensive than leather because of how they make it. So, you know, if it's something y'all think you might be interested in, it would definitely be a specialty product. We can certainly get it. We can get all three of them. We can get the pineapple, we can get the cactus, which is my favorite, and then we can also get the grape. So any of those, but you got to really be prepared for it. In, you know, I think it would be great to sew with. I haven't been able to sew with it yet. I think it would be a beautiful bag, but you know, it's going to be expensive. So, but let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I really do want to know what you think. Something we've considered, like I said, it's just I'm not sure now's the right time. All right, we are going to move on to Artistry Avenue, and Artistry Avenue is where we feature you, our customers. We feature bags made by you that we either email to us or posted in the Simply Classic Bag Making community on Facebook. All of our featured artists will win a PDF pattern of your choice. This is open worldwide. And if we feature your bag, you'll have 30 days to email share@simplyclassic.net to let us know which pattern you would like. So let's take a look at this week's artists. Karen made this amazing Sorella. Oh my gosh, look at this. She used our elephant gray leather, and then of course she used webbing. You can see here for the actual strap. She used a really cool one. It's got gray and brown and matches the leather exactly. Love how she put rivets on the flap. Love her twist lock. I mean, everything about this is absolutely gorgeous. Karen, this is amazing. Sandy made a Julie, and she did it out of our brown and white croc. So a few weeks ago, we told you that we had a layout for the brown and white croc, and we had it so that you could get this exact look, because you do have to lay the pattern pieces out in a specific way to achieve this look. What I liked about this is about, oh gosh, it was probably a couple years ago now, she made this tennis bag out of the same croc. And you can see she put them side by side. And what I was so impressed with is how this faux held up. Tennis bags, okay, just from experience, I can tell you, I'm a tennis player as well. They get thrown in the trunk of your car. They get put out on the tennis court on the ground. They get caught in the rain. They're in the sun. I mean, it is amazing what a tennis bag will go through. They're outside a lot. And look at how well that has held up. Now, sure, the white looks like it might, you know, it's faded a little bit or it's a little dirty. But I mean, shoot, this is amazing at how well it's held up. Now she's got a pair. She's got a tennis bag and a Julie. So thank you so much, Sandy, for sharing that with us and for showing us how well that faux leather has held up, because it is absolutely gorgeous. And then the next one we have here is the Kaplan, and this one was made by Dawn. Now, Kaplan is our newest pattern, and this is really a fantastic example of upcycling. So we certainly talked about that a couple weeks ago, and she used upcycled denim in a few different shades. She repurposed an old coat to get this brown suede, and she even recycled a strap from another bag. So she did make a couple of design changes to accommodate her fabric choices. You can see the zipper overlay there on the back that she added that. And she really did an amazing job. So thank you so much for sharing that, Dawn. So congratulations to all of our artists. Please email us within 30 days and let us know which pattern you would like. Again, that's share@simplyclassic.net. So we're going to move on to our Q&A, but before we do, we are going to give away a PDF pattern for the Farfalla. So if you're watching live, go ahead and type in the word butterfly in the chat, and we'll have the computer pick a winner while we do our Q&A. Now, this is a PDF download, so it is open worldwide, and just please enter it one time, butterfly, okay? B-U-T-T-E-R-F-L-Y, butterfly. So we're going to take a look at our questions. So the first question is from Angie B, aka Soul Sister here on YouTube, and she emailed us to ask, when sewing around the top perimeter of a large bag, do you find it easier to maneuver using your flatbed or cylinder arm sewing machine? So 100% of the time, I'm going to tell you, whenever you're doing any kind of top stitching around the top of your bag, it's always easier to use a cylinder arm machine. Now, the larger the bag, the easier it is to use a flatbed, and you can certainly use it, no problem. Sometimes you can use some little tricks where you turn your bag inside out to top stitch, because you always want to top stitch from the right side of your bag. But if I have my choice, I'm always going to use the cylinder arm machine. Just makes the whole process a little easier. Now, we also have a couple questions from Monica. And she emailed us and asked us a couple things. And the first thing she asked us was, when printing out a PDF pattern, if we want to make a bag smaller or larger, how do we print them? And she actually went into a little bit more detail on her question, but I do want to address this because I think this is really important. Whenever you print a PDF pattern, when you have a PDF pattern, that PDF pattern, or any pattern you have, includes seam allowances. And the seam allowances, whenever you make a bag larger or smaller, don't change. So for instance, we're going to talk about the Julie. The Julie has a seam allowance that is a 1/2 inch. So if you take that pattern piece and let's say you expand it by 20%, we are also expanding the seam allowance by 20%, okay? But a lot of times we don't think about that and end up just using the 1/2 inch seam allowances in the pattern. So the correct way to increase a pattern is to look at the size of the pattern piece, subtract the seam allowance, then increase the pattern piece, and then add your seam allowances back, okay? That would be the best way to make sure you have the exact percentage that you want to increase. Now, for some patterns, it's easier than others. Anytime you have square or rectangle pieces, it's easy to just subtract a seam allowance and then add it right back. If you have a curved piece or something, you know, that's got some kind of circle to it, it's going to be a little more difficult to do that. You can certainly just use your printer settings to expand it by 15% or, you know, whatever, 20%, but just kind of keep in mind that whole seam allowance thing. Okay. She also asked about rivets, and this is a question that I'm going to pose to all of you. She said, do you have any tips on how to successfully use manual tools to apply rivets? The post always bends on mine, no matter how straight I think I'm holding it. So I wish I had a magic solution for you, Monica, because they can be tricky, especially when you're trying to set them manually. You know, probably the best solution is to use a rivet press, but I know sometimes that's not always possible. So I'd like to ask all of you out there, how do you do it? If you are actually setting rivets by hand, how do you hold them good and straight so that they don't bend? Because I'm not sure I have anything, you know, that I can help you with there, Monica. You also asked about a bucket bag pattern and if we have one in the works. And I do want to say that the alley B is a bucket bag. So I have an alley B here. We're going to go to the overhead and just want to show you, because a lot of people don't realize that the alley B is a bucket bag. Okay, so here is our alley B. Okay, it does not look like a bucket bag. However, when you look at it from the top and you open up the bag, let me go ahead and pull my string open. You can see here that this is just a large bucket bag, and it does close with the drawstring just like a bucket bag does. Now, the thing that makes this uniquely different is the shoulder strap, and the shoulder strap attaches in the front. So to change this into a bucket bag, you could certainly make this and then add a shoulder strap from side to side, a more traditional shoulder strap, and you would get the same basic look, and you would get a bucket bag. Now, with that having been said, I will tell you that there are obviously so many different types of bucket bags and so many different ways to put pattern pieces together. And I actually do have a bucket bag pattern in mind that I'd like to do. Much different look than this when it's all said and done. And so that's probably going to be a future subscription box. I don't want to give too much away, but it is something I'd like to do. And then finally, she asked, and this is a perfect question for tonight's episode, what are the main differences between faux leather and vegan leather? So this is really a good question. Vegan just means that it doesn't contain any animal products. So most faux leathers are vegan. However, some faux leathers are not vegan because some of the dyes and different products in the faux leather can actually be made by from animal byproducts. So, you know, just because it's faux leather doesn't mean it's 100% vegan. I will say that most vegan is more plant-based products. So some of the things we looked at tonight with the cactus and the grape leather and the pineapple leather, I would consider vegan leather, where I would consider most of our products more faux leather because they are plastic based and probably do have some animal dyes in some of the actual colors. Okay. So Rock says Text 70 is the same as Text 69 for my Texo 27 Pro. Yes. So the thread we carry is Text theoretically 69, but you call it 70. It's just kind of like a 2x4. It's not really 2x4. It's 2 and something by 3 3/4, right? So it's the same kind of thing with thread. But yes, usually 69 and 70 are used interchangeably. That's a good question. Norman says, I am ready for an industrial machine. All right. And which one do you recommend? That is really a good question. So I have a Consew machine that I've had for like 20 years. And it's kind of my go-to machine because I've used it for 20 years and I love it. Consew, when I bought my machine, was made by a different company than it is now. I believe now it's made in China. A lot of the parts are made in China. So I don't know if the Consews they sell today are really equal to what I have. I've heard some different things there. I also have a Texo 2750 Pro, kind of what Rock was just talking about. And I had really good luck with Texo. They're a company out of Canada, and they sent me the machine. It was here within 2 weeks. It's been fantastic. The feet are interchangeable on my 2750 Pro, you know, compared to my Consew, so that's nice. What I would suggest, though, is if you have a place near you that sells industrial machines, go sit down and check them out. Bring some materials with you. See what you like the feel of. Most industrial machines all work the same. Okay, they're kind of all made the same. They all work the same. And it's really going to be a feel thing and what you're comfortable with. I will say you want to make sure you get a dual walking foot. Okay, you don't want to get just a regular foot. You want to make sure you have that walking foot built in. You also want to make sure, if you can, that you get a cylinder arm machine with a flatbed table. That's going to give you a way to interchange from the flatbed to the cylinder arm machine without having to buy two machines. So those would be my two suggestions for you. And if you can't go and sit down and sew on one, then I would say call Sunny Sewing Machine in Dallas. They have a bunch of different machines there, and they are really great. You can talk to them, tell them what you want to sew, and they'll definitely point you in the right direction. So Noreen says, what thread do you use in your Burnett 08? I use our Tex 45 thread. So all of the thread that we carry, we call it the Fusion 45, and that's our Tex 45. I use it both in the top thread and in the bobbin. It winds great on the bobbin, works great on the Burnett, and really is a fantastic thread. Thread is made by Tech, which is a really good quality thread made in the USA. So we're excited about being able to carry that. So Rock says, any plans to come to Atlantic Canada? Yes. I don't know when, but I would love to come. Actually, we were planning a trip. We were thinking about coming to Canada this year. We ended up diverting, and our personal vacation is going to be in Alaska. But, we're going to kind of sort of be close to there. Of course, we're going to Sacramento in September. But yes, if we can get up there, we definitely are always willing to go different places and see different things and meet all of you. So I would love to. All right, so we are going to continue on and pick a winner. I'm sure we have a winner by now. And the winner of our Farfalla is Santana. So congratulations, Santana. You have won the Farfalla pattern. So if you will please email us, if you can do it within the next 24 hours, that's great, because then we don't have to keep up with it. It helps us out, and we'll go ahead and get you a copy of your pattern. So we appreciate you joining us tonight live. We always love to interact with you and really appreciate your support. Please join us next Thursday, June 12th. Again, we'll be here at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be talking about different shapes and styles of bag flaps. So don't forget to submit your Simply Classic makes by posting them in the Facebook group or emailing share@simplyclassic.net. That's where you can send questions, stories, and topic ideas. So until next week, everybody, happy sewing.